everyone, so things are a bit hectic right now. In fact, I may actually have to make an update video in a few weeks or months depending on how things go because it might affect the channel. But nothing to worry about right now, except for the fact that I still can't get a haircut. Yeah, things are so crazy I left my glasses on. That's like never happened before. Before we start this video, I will assure you that this is not about the ending to Attack on Titan. I know that's a huge topic right now, obviously, but we are not going to be discussing anything after where the anime currently is, which I think is like chapter 110, 112, around there. So if you're caught up to the anime but not the manga, you're fine to watch this video. If you're catching up to the anime, probably not. So Attack on Titan is ending in about a month, and when it does end, I do plan to make, a normal review on it. I'm going to reread the whole thing, give you my full thoughts on it, but this is a very important series to me, and I wanted to give it a bit more of a send-off than just the review. So today I want to kind of take a look back at my history with this series, and just talk about kind of what it was like following it for 7 years now, because it really has cemented itself as one of the most important anime of the past 10 years, and I want to take a look at it that I think it rightly deserves. So it was 2013 when I first heard about the series. I mean, obviously that was when the anime was going on, but I didn't check it out until a year later, and it was when I was in high school and a friend recommended it to me. Now at this point, I wasn't very big into anime and manga. I'd only seen a few anime like Death Note and shit, and that was it. But I did decide to check it out, and man, I was pretty instantly hooked. Looking back at it, I don't know if it would have grabbed me like it did back then today, because my tastes have evolved quite a bit. The start of Attack on Titan, in fairness, isn't as amazing as I used to think it was, but it is undeniably a great hook. It throws us into this crazy, vicious world with these huge giants. We get the kid's mom gets eaten right away. This is some crazy shit, right? Anyway, so I spent that week watching the whole thing, and it was blowing me away. It was super, super cool. I love the action. I love the mystery. And when it ended, I couldn't wait for more. As the months went on and we weren't hearing a single peep about when the show would continue, it became clear to me that it might be a longer wait than I was hoping for. Thankfully, the manga existed. Now, I knew about manga, but I really never read any back then. And many of you know that Attack on Titan was my first manga. I remember specifically in July 2014 is when I finally caved and got the first volume of the manga. Where season 1 ended on such a huge cliffhanger, I just wasn't having it anymore. So I started the manga from the beginning. A bit jarring, because we all know how the early art was. But yeah, then I slowly collected the rest of the series up to, I believe, volume 12 was the newest at that point. And I kept reading it with each new volume up until volume 15 came out. And I was perfectly content with this. I liked, every 3 or 4 months getting a new volume. I think it might have actually been shorter at that point because they were still catching up. Yeah, I was absolutely loving it. The Clash of the Titans stuff with Ymir, Historia, Reiner Embertolt's betrayal, all that crazy stuff. With each volume, I just became more and more hooked. And when I finished volume 15, I'm like, hold on. I don't want to wait another several months. Well, what the fuck is this? And this is when I did something I never thought I would do. I caught up online. At this point, Crunchyroll was simul-publishing the chapters, and they still do to this day, so I was able to catch up there, and it was right at the end of the Uprising arc. That was when I finally caught up to Attack on Titan, right when they had the show-off with the Rod Rice Titan. And yeah, then I just had this huge empty feeling. I had read the entire series, there was nothing left to read. Still no hints of the anime returning. When the anime first came out, it was an incredible phenomenon. It blew up in the West like I had never seen before. It seemed like everyone was watching it, everyone was talking about it, but by this point, by mid-2015, with 2 years since the show ended, it seemed like things had really started to die down. Not that it wasn't still massively popular, not that people stopped caring, but when time passes with no new content, people start to lose interest. And while manga is still niche, I mean, new chapters of Attack on Titan nowadays get hundreds of thousands of tweets trending. Back then, it was still far more niche, so I felt like I was in a much smaller group of people who were actually still avid readers of the series. And obviously that wasn't entirely the case. It was still one of the most popular manga out there. That's just what it felt like. But I have to say, the next 2 years following the series were absolutely incredible, and definitely the most fun I've had with this series ever. Because right when I caught up, it was also right around the time, when I started doing this. And I doubt there are many of you around who remember this, but of course you can always go back and see for yourself. Chapter 72, right at the start of the return to Shiganshina, whatever. I still don't even know how to pronounce half of these things. Anyway, it was right when that arc started. I made a review for Chapter 72. Was it good? I don't know. I haven't gone back to watch any of them, but I enjoyed making it. And for the next 2 years, that became a tradition on this channel. Whenever the new chapter would drop, I would make a video about it. And of course, the arc that I was covering would go down in history as one of the most monumental anime arcs ever. But we weren't at that point yet. We were still at the point where we didn't really know what to expect. Every new chapter was fresh and brand new and crazy. There was so much to be said, so much to get excited about, and reading it every month was so much fun. I met a lot of people online this way. I collaborated with a lot of people, most of whom aren't really around anymore, but we had an absolute blast, a ton of fun. We made theories, we argued, we were begging for season 2 to come out soon, because at this point the manga was so far ahead that we're like, we need to get to this stuff. We need to see this stuff animated. More people need to see it. All the huge events, you guys know it. This arc was insane. Them finally taking out Reiner and Bertolt. You had, of course, Zeke. The Cart Titan reveal, how its appearance changed like instantly. That's still like one of the weirdest things in the series. The massive moments with Armin almost dying, you know, the whole choice they have to make, Erwin's final stand. And of course, it all culminated with the basement. This was probably the biggest mystery the series ever had. And man... what a payoff. The reveal that Marley was a thing, that they weren't alive on this island. It was just insane. It sent shockwaves throughout the community, and I loved every minute of it. But, you see, the thing, after 2 years of doing it, I got kind of bored of making monthly reviews, so once we got to the Marley arc, and you know, the biggest mysteries were solved at this point, definitely wasn't bored of the series, and I continue reading monthly to this day. But you know, at that point, I was done with it for now. And right around when that happened, though, the second season of the anime finally came out. 4 years later. And it was great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Wit was back in top form. We got some incredible animation. Probably my favorite opening theme song in the whole series. Problem, though, was that... like I mentioned before, Attack on Titan was kind of waning in popularity. Obviously still a lot popular than most shows, but compared to the heights of season 1, it really didn't feel like as many people were following Attack on Titan, which was really sad to see because while season 2 has its amazing moments, you know, it definitely wasn't on the level I knew season 3 would be. And when we got there, I wanted everyone to be watching it. And it just really felt different this time around. Then the Marley arc happened in the manga, which is probably my favorite arc in the series. I was absolutely loving it. And we learned that season 3 would be coming the following year. Thank God. If we had to wait another 4 years, I would have lost it. And there was a lot of pressure on season 3 because... like, this was they had to do this right. I loved the stuff they were going to cover so much, and I was honestly really nervous because Wit, while they have definitely proven themselves in the past, they aren't known for having, you know, the greatest production. You know, season 2 was in production hell for a very long time. They're a small team. And this, of course, led season 3 to be split into 2 different parts. And I'm very glad they did this because they definitely needed extra time to focus on part 2. But anyway, season 3 came out and it was great. Just like season 2, I thoroughly enjoyed it all. But it still felt like the series wasn't nearly as popular as it used to be. And I was kind of bummed out by it because, you know, while I don't think season 1 is as good as it was when I first watched it anymore. Like, I feel like a lot of people felt the same thing. They're like, oh, Attack on Titan, it's whatever, you know, it's a decent show and it's no big deal. But like, I knew what was coming and I wanted so many people to be there for it. But then, of course, part 2 happened and we all know how that went down. Finally seeing this arc animated after so many years was kind of amazing. And it wasn't just animated well, it was like done to perfection. I'm not going to tell you it was like the best looking show I've ever seen. It's clear they cut costs where they could, but all of the big moments were handled so expertly that it just made me so happy. And this was really when Attack on Titan saw a second coming. Another explosion in popularity. Maybe not on the level of season 1, but very close to it. And I was so happy. Everyone was talking about Attack on Titan. Yeah, sure, there's all the cancer fan base people or whatever, but I was loving it. Everyone was watching Attack on Titan. More people were reading it. It was great. The manga was still continuing strong. I think at this point we were done the Marley arc, moving into the War for Paradise. charity arc, and everything was awesome. What was also awesome is that shortly after Season 3 Part 2 ended, we got confirmation that Season 4 would be the final season, and it would end around the same time as the manga. And we knew as manga readers that the manga was ending for a while, but getting this like cold, hard confirmation that it would be ending soon was pretty crazy, because we'd been with it for so long. Now, it still obviously had a lot left, but yeah, we were looking forward to it. Season 4 is an interesting one. I can't remember when we found this out exactly, but at some point we realized that Wit would not be doing it. I was cautiously optimistic about this, because like I mentioned earlier, Wit, while they had done a fantastic job up to this point, knowing what was coming in Season 4, I wasn't actually sure if they could handle it. At least not in the time that we were given. We had until October 2020 for this to start. And then eventually we learned, of course, that MAPPA would be doing it. Now, MAPPA is interesting because they have put out some very high quality stuff, but they also have the tendency to take on way too many projects and have some things crash and burn. I did feel a lot better when the trailer dropped. Yeah, they infamously made this trailer and it looked absolutely amazing, but none of the footage in this trailer is what they actually ended up using. It was like completely pre-done. I will never understand the choice to do that. But yeah, it definitely gave me some false hope there. Anyway, COVID happened. They pushed it back to December. We learned it was getting 16 episodes, which made people even more worried. Like, are they going to squeeze the rest of the whole story into 16 episodes? Thankfully, now we know they aren't doing that. We still don't actually know if they're going to make a part 2 or not, but I'm sure we'll find out soon. I mean, you know, that they probably will. Season 4, of course, controversially, is a huge visual downgrade from the Wit seasons. I don't think many people are going to argue with that. When it comes to the production value, the colors, the general animation, it definitely does not look as nice as the Wit seasons. And of course, very infamously, they decided to make most of the Titan Shifters 3D models. Most likely as a time thing. MAPPA really had to rush this one out, and so I don't really blame them for doing this. But yeah, it definitely makes things feel more inconsistent. And I wasn't really sure how people were going to react to it. While I was really worried for how this show would look, it ended up being, while inconsistent, not nearly as bad as I feared. The 3D models are jarring, but the animation on them is fine. A lot of my favorite moments in the series, Sasha's death, the Zeke's betrayal, was all really cool. And I'm gonna be honest, I fucking love the attack on Marley. Yeah, it was jank. Yeah, there was just a bunch of 3D guys going around. But it was cool. It was really exciting. And yeah, most people don't seem to be complaining at all. People are still absolutely loving it. And so while my favorite arc in the series wasn't done as well as the previous arcs, in fact, at this point, I think the manga is absolutely better than the anime. When before, I thought the anime had a bit of an edge. But yeah, it's been pretty decent. I am, of course, worried going forward. The next arc, the action is dialed up to 11. And if MAPPA is going to adapt it, they're really, really going to need as much time as they can possibly get. But yeah, that leaves us to today, where the anime is still airing. We still have a few more episodes left, a few moments I'm really, really excited to see. I hope MAPPA can pull off well. And the manga is ending in a few weeks. It's just so crazy looking back at this whole journey, man. Like, what a series. I mean, whether you like where it's been going recently or not, it's so hard to deny the impact that it had. And we may never see another series quite like it ever again. I wanted to do a part where I talk about some of my favorite moments of the series, but I decided to let you guys in on it. I asked you guys to give me some of your favorite moments of just, in general, being a fan and following this series for so long. I have a lot of favorite moments, but if I had to name one, I would say when Eren got eaten by a Titan at the beginning. If you weren't hooked on the series already, this is probably what did it for most people. Eren appearing to die in episode 5 was pretty bold and pretty crazy. We all know now that it's no big deal. He comes back, he's revealed to be a Titan. But this was something that you rarely ever see, and they really made you believe he was dead, because I don't believe he appears for a while afterwards. So yeah, that was a really, really well done scene. No one mentioned the reveal for Annie, and while I don't think it was, amazing, because it was pretty obvious, I do think that was a very important moment, because it revealed that there were traitors among them and that there was a lot more that we didn't know. Also, along with the reveal that there were Titans in the wall at the end of season 1. Yeah, that was Oh, that was a legendary cliffhanger. A lot of people, of course, mentioned the big reveal in Season 2 that Reiner and Bertolt were the Colossal and Armored Titans. We knew that it was possible that the other Titans were among them after Annie, but it still felt unreal. Like, we still didn't want to believe that any of their friends were the villains. And the way the twist was so casually dropped is still so fantastic. Everyone always has the double take. They have to rewind or go back to the last page. They're like, what? What did they just say? And the anime covered this expertly. The tension was so good in that scene. I love Historia revealing her true name to Ymir in the anime. It's such a beautiful scene, and it makes me tear up thinking about it. Yeah, it is worth mentioning, while everyone always talks about the huge action-packed scenes, there are a lot of quiet character moments that are really fantastic throughout the series as well. The reveal of Grisha's death was one of my favorite moments for sure. It's so obvious that the dad of our protagonist is about to make a big return to do something, but the reveal that he actually died off screen was so refreshing. Yeah, I agree. Of course, this was when I caught up with the original volumes and we learned what happened to Aaron's dad, and it was so shocking and so insane. This was something no one had expected at all, and it was fantastic. Eventually, we do learn his whole story, and it is really satisfying. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, my favorite part was when the Cart Titan was introduced and then redesigned 2 chapters later. I mean, yeah, it was weird. This is a series that clearly was not all planned out from the beginning, so it's kind of a miracle that things worked out so well. My favorite moment will always be the plot twist that humanity outside the walls was being alive and intact. Not just that, but it was just the whole world out there. So crazy. One of probably the best, executed plot twists I've ever seen on this scale. Because it was so hard to pull off. It required so much thought and attention, and it worked absolutely perfectly. The coup d'etat. Oh, I absolutely love that scene. And no Titans involved either. It was just pure tension. It was fantastic. And yeah, no one really mentioned anything after the time skip, but I would like to mention the whole Marley Ark, the whole action sequence, Aaron's return, the declaration of war, the fight with the Jaw Titan, the Nutcracker. So good, man. It's really going to be sad to see this series go. Like I said, no matter how you feel about the ending, no pun intended, it really is a titan of a series, and it is going to leave a pretty big hole when it's gone. But yeah, that's all we can do. Isayama, he hasn't taken a single break in 11 years. He definitely deserves one. So with that, thank you all so much for watching. You can leave your thoughts on Attack on Titan, your whole journey with it, in the comments down below. And I will see you in April when we take a look at the entire thing.